Sherm Chester with you on this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast. Jay Pinsonnault sitting alongside me from the Seacoast Media Group and, of course, seacoastonline.com. And our special guest is the voice of the Red Sox, Mr. Dave O'Brien. David, thank you for joining us today.
Sure, MJ. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it very much.
To me, summer starts in Memorial Day. But, okay, the official start is the 4th of July, and this is a big one this year, the 250th. And unfortunately, you're going to be on the road while it happens for a bunch of games. Do you normally have something you would do for the 4th of July with your family if you were home?
We put flags all over the property, make sure American flags are everywhere you can look, and we barbecue. That's what we do, like everybody else. Nothing special, unique, but for us it is to celebrate this great country. And as you said, it doesn't get any bigger than 250 years. I remember the bicentennial year. I was a kid. I was like in my early teens, and I remembered what a big deal that was. Now to think another 50 years have passed, and we are the greatest country on the face of the earth. I'm a guy who loves to travel, and I think maybe Sherm, you and I have talked about it before. Debbie and I love to see the world. The best part about all the traveling is when we land in the U.S. again. And I don't want to sound overly patriotic, but that's how we feel. You know, my son Mike served in the 82nd Airborne, and we've always been one of those families that treasures where we live.
Yeah, amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Jay, you being a season ticket holder and now a Diamond member, a Diamond card holder, I'm going to let you have the first dibs with Mr. O'Brien.
All right. I guess as a diehard Red Sox fan, here we are 85 games into the season, 11 games below 500. There's been a myriad of things that have not gone as planned this season with Roman Anthony, with Garrett Crochet, with Caleb Durbin at the beginning of the season, with Marcelo Meyer. Is there one part of this team that is most surprising to you looking at it more than halfway into the season that really surprises you as it hasn't worked or it didn't work as planned going into the season?
Well, I think you mentioned the number one thing, Jane, that's that Roman Anthony was supposed to be a star right now. He was supposed to have 22 home runs, 60 RBIs, leading the American League in about 9 categories. And he has barely touched a bat for 8 weeks because of the finger injury. So that's number one. I'm not laying everything at the foot of a guy who played a handful of games last year, and expectations were so high for this year. Injuries happen to guys. And you mentioned Crochet as well, which I don't think gets enough attention in our market. And I wonder if you agree with that. That was a guy who was lined up to win the Cy Young this year. He finished second last year to Tarek Skubal. And if he had stayed healthy, I think he would have won it this year. He was on that path. Those two guys, those injuries were huge. But I think the fact that Roman didn't look ready to be that guy at the top of the season. People have been pining for him to come back. And he was hitting like 220 with no power in the time that he was healthy. So that's been very disappointing, and really disappointing that he's right now nowhere close to returning to the Red Sox. I think in both of those cases, it certainly would have helped in a very weak American League when you're talking about a wild card picture.
Then I guess on the flip side of that, there's been a lot of positives that have come with the Red Sox this season with Sonny Gray and I think he's 9-1. He probably had his best start of the season the other night when he didn't get the win, when he took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. You have Ranger Suarez, who's had an unbelievable start to the season. You've had Conley Early. You've had Peyton Toley. Like, this starting pitching staff without Crochet has been one of the best in baseball. In your mind, what has been the most pleasant surprise of this group so far, 85 games into the season?
Well, when you talk about pleasant, I mean, there's no more pleasant story than Peyton Toley. I think if the club were winning, and I've said this on Nesson, if it were a good team, he would own New England right now. He'd be doing commercials for anything you want to buy, cars, banks, whatever. He would be all over the place because he's a giant cartoon character. He's a force of nature. He's always happy, always smiling, and he throws 99 miles an hour. So I think to me that's been the nicest surprise. I don't think I saw quite the evolution this year in Pinsonnault. You're right about Ranger Suarez too. He's not a guy who throws 95. He's 92, but he's on the black. He adds and subtracts. It's sort of old style pitching. He looks like a guy who's just playing catch in the backyard with his dad, and you look up and it's 8 innings. He's got 10 strikeouts. Starting pitching has been tremendous for the Red Sox. That's no surprise. I think we talked about it before the season started. We knew this rotation would be among the best in baseball. Just a modicum of offense. I would say a below average offensive Red Sox team. And this team is competing somewhere for second place, certainly at the top of the wild card. We're just talking about a below average offense. The Red Sox have been horrendous offensively, particularly at Fenway Park, at the bottom of the league in home runs and runs scored. That has been a tremendous disappointment. It's the single biggest reason they can't get out of their own way.
Can they turn it around? Is there time to turn it around?
Yeah, to me, it's about one thing, Jay, and it's about personnel. You can have all the games left in the world, but if it's the same group of guys who have been performing for 80 some odd games like this, I think the chances are quite slim that the Red Sox are going to be able to turn anything around, because that's who you are. I always thought when you got to 40, 50, 60 games, you have identified the team you are, your personality, your plan of attack. There's no David Ortiz walking through that door. There's no Manny Ramirez or Mookie Betts or JD Martinez walking through that door. The Red Sox don't have that guy or guys. And all the years that the three of us have been watching games at Fenway, the Red Sox have always had offensive studs. Even when the pitching, and when I was a kid, it was always bad, but you always could rely on 6 guys who could hit you 18 to 35 home runs. This is a very different Red Sox team in its construction. Something got missed in the chemistry in terms of building. You had to have bats. When they walked away from Bregman, or you could say Bregman walked away from them, okay, that's a right-hand hitter who could hit you 25, 30. He's having a bad year with the Cubs, I get it. But he had a lot of value to that Red Sox clubhouse and to people like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and a lot of other players in there. Okay, the Red Sox went away from that. They had traded Rafi Devers. They didn't replace those guys. They never replaced those bats. The ability to drive in 90 to 100 runs. You've got one guy who's doing that, and that's Wilson Contreras, who's having a hard time staying in the lineup lately because he's been ejected, was ejected back-to-back games. He's likely to be serving a suspension here very, very soon. So that's a big blow. And without him, it's not entirely a punchless offense because Durbin's come to life. Anthony Siegler's been a nice addition from the minor leagues. But there are too many guys in this lineup, when you look at it every night, who were at Worcester 5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a week ago. You can't win that way at Fenway Park. You have to have stars. You got to have sluggers in that lineup, along with that great pitching that the Red Sox do have.
Now, the one commodity, and I know everybody talks about Craig Breslow making trades. It's hard because you got a few players, at least in my opinion, they're untouchable. But on the other hand, do you just go out and say, okay, everybody is available? What would you think he's thinking right now?
Well, I'd ask you this, Sherm, who is untouchable?
Okay, Raffy in the center field. You don't touch Abreu in right. The infield, Contreras plays a mean first base.
I would agree with all of those. I would agree with those, and there are guys in that rotation I would not touch.
Oh, yeah.
Fully. And now, Aroldis Chapman, if you're out of it and you have very little chance of even sneaking in as the last wild card, Aroldis Chapman's going to have value. Sonny Gray is going to have value. The way he's pitching, you could really get something in return for Sonny Gray. Beyond that, I'm not so sure there are very many left at the big league level. People say Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran's hitting like 195, and he's among the league leaders in strikeouts. He's had a really poor season, so I think that's no longer a chip that you can play. But there are a couple. You're right, and I think there are also untouchables you have to build on for next year. The problem is when you start trading players, you open voids at positions. Let's
Right.
say you decide you want to deal Contreras. Who's going to play first base for you next year?
Mhm.
And you rely on Tristan Casas coming back. I mean, Tristan Casas isn't even playing right now. So I mean, it's hard to say that you have definitive pieces you can trade outside of the guys we've mentioned.
My buddy Dan down in Jacksonville, we text during the games while we're watching, and we're happy that Durbin is finally seems to have found his groove, and that's a good thing. We're
Yep.
happy for him. And as far as Chapman is concerned, you're right. He's a trade piece, no doubt about it. I'd like to see if they do trade him, Whitlock get that closer's role.
Yeah, Whitlock or Tyrone Guerrero,
Okay.
who has really emerged as something far better than we anticipated. His command has really drastically improved. I give Andrew Bailey a lot of credit for that. This guy throws 101, 102. We've seen him on the gun at 103. That looks like a closer to me. If he's throwing strikes, in the past he hadn't. They've corralled him. He's in the strike zone. I love Witt in that setup spot. I think he's really good there. But you're right. You basically have a couple of options to close where the role is gone. If you're out of it and you're kicking around at 14, 15 under 500, I'm not really sure it matters who closes games at that point. But for next year, different story.
Yeah, for sure. Is it me or am I imagining things? It seems like there's a lot of fragile players in the major leagues now, and I know it's because they have invested in a lot of these players big money. But it seems like, and these guys tease me. I play fantasy baseball, different types of leagues, and I think I've got one team that everybody is on the IL. I mean, it's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, and I don't want to dump anybody because Aaron Judge is one of my guys, Crochet. I mean, all these name brand players.
Mhm.
And now, and the infamous phrase that pays is they'll all be coming back after the All Star break.
Right. Well, when you talk about fragility, there is truth in the modern player looks at it like, first of all, you have things like arbitration and you have high-powered agents, some significant changes in baseball from 30, 40 years ago. And when you put them together, if I got a tender hamstring, I'm not going to go out there and face those three tough starters and hurt myself come arbitration time. And I'm going to make sure I'm 100%. It may be a generational thing too. I think there are players on the Red Sox who, unless they are 100%, they are not putting themselves back in the lineup. That is a change from years. You always had guys who did that before. Now it's sort of a modus operandi for a lot of guys. We had J.D. Drew with the Red Sox, you remember.
Right. Yep.
J.D. Drew is as gifted a baseball player as I've ever seen in Major League Baseball. Getting JD on the field was a hard thing to do. And it could be just a little soreness in the elbow, or, I got hit off the foot 4 days ago. I'm going to, Terry Francona had to be politician and psychiatrist and doctor with that guy to get him in the lineup. And so, you always had guys like that. I think that's always been true in baseball, but it is certainly true today. There's a theory that unless I am 107%, I am not going to chance it today. It's going to hurt my numbers. It's going to hurt my arbitration.
That I see where it's coming from a financial viewpoint from the teams with all the money that's invested. And it doesn't matter what sport now. I mean, they're all in that same lane now. I mean,
Right.
you've got 200 or 300 million or 600 million or whatever it is. I mean,
Right.
Aaron Judge, a good example. I mean, he's going to be probably in August before we see him again.
Well, and
And
he's as you say, he's been hurt a lot. When he's played, he's been extraordinary. He's won the MVP 3 times. He's the reigning batting champ. All you got to do is look at this last series against the Red Sox, and it's a wholly different thing if Judge and Stanton are in there. But the Red Sox swept, a Yankee team that was in first place coming in, and for a few minutes changed their season. It's also true that you have a lot of tough guys out there too. Caleb Durbin dislocated a finger.
oh yeah,
Back in Colorado. He was in the lineup the very next day. Wilson Contreras gets nailed all the time, hit by pitches, leading the world in that category. He's right back in there the next day. So there's still plenty of guys like that who are dying to play, dying to get in the lineup.
Yeah, and those are the guys that I like to have on my team.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you're doing fantasy baseball. I get it.
Exactly,
Totally.
exactly. Jay, first I want to preface this by saying, were you surprised when you were doing the game from the Green Monster with Lou Merloni that two dudes from the Seacoast showed up?
Yeah, I was great to see those dudes from the seacoast. That's mine. It's been my neck of the woods for many. We live in Salem now, but that was great. That was a great visit. I really appreciated it very much.
Well, it was funny because I mentioned it a few minutes ago. He's got the Diamond Pass now, so Jay get into the park except for those luxury boxes, and
I expect to see Jay on the bench next to Chad Green these days with his access. You got to be kidding me. So
he will
Nobody
before
wants
it's
to see
over.
that.
you're gonna be bringing out a lineup card, in a
No,
week.
nobody wants that.
Hey, I tell you, the funny thing was we saw you on TV promoting the Green Monster game, and Jay texted me and said, "Hey, like to go?" And I said, "Sure, I'm all for it." So with his Diamond Pass, we got in early so we could take a look at BP, and that was nice. And then
You
went
almost
out.
get hit, Sherm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was one of the few balls that actually got out there. And so we were sitting there for a while, and we went and had a snack, came back, and I was surprised by the seats we had. We're right over
Yeah.
the ladder that goes nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. You guys had a great vantage point. Terrific vantage. You might have been better than ours, actually.
We almost were going to kind of hang back where you were, but I thought, you know what, these seats are available. And Jay said, if nobody shows up by the third inning, we're
Yeah.
golden. And then my buddy in Jacksonville sent us a video, and it shows the two of us sitting, and we had like a seat in between us. We looked like Craig Breslow and one of the higher ups getting together there, looking over the wall, and
Yeah.
it was fantastic.
It might come to that, guys. I mean, the way things are going, you may just, they may promote you up the ladder, so to
No.
speak.
As long as I don't have to climb that ladder to nowhere.
Right, right.
But it's funny, but I said to Jay that I had never been in the monster seats. I think that night I bored him with all the different seats I had been in Fenway. But that, to me, to quote your friend Dick Vitale, awesome, baby, awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, I enjoyed it because having had a son that was a pitcher in baseball back 100 years ago, and Jay's got one now, I like to see that center field look because I could watch him and his mechanics.
Well, I think the other thing too that you guys are alluding to is Fenway is so special, and what we came from the broadcast booth to our monster seats to do that game and walking through the crowd. I mean, the club's having a bad year, tough year, but you wouldn't know that. And it was a beautiful night. People were upbeat. They were in a great mood. They were happy to be inside Fenway Park. And there are a lot of naysayers don't want to hear this stuff, but it's true. It is a special, really cool place. There's nothing like Fenway, and there's nothing like the Red Sox and Red Sox fans. We grew up with it, and it's still amazing to us on a night like that. So I didn't want that. I did mention on the broadcast, I was like, the club's in last place and doesn't look good at this point, but you come to Fenway and you feel good about baseball. You do.
And yeah, now Jay was there. Jay, you can expound upon this. You were there the night that the Scottish Army showed up.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had to bring my kilt that night. That place
yeah.
was, I think it was like, I think capacity, I think they announced attendance was around 33,000 that night. And I would say that at least a third of those fans were wearing kilts, and they brought a whole new energy to Fenway that I've never seen before. And I've been to Fenway many playoff games and many big games in the regular season against the Yankees, and but I've never seen an energy that night where Fenway was invaded by the Scots, and what a great night that was. And I'm sure it was for you as well, Dave.
It would to hear it. I agree with you, Jeff. It's like I've never really heard that before. And the singing and the chants through at bats.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what they were watching. They it's the first idea of what a ground rule double was or what the infield fly, and they don't care. They're just having the time of their lives, and of course they famously drank like 6 Boston bars dry, which was incredible. They actually enjoyed American beer. which was another thing. But I thought it was wonderful how the city and Massachusetts and the region wrapped their arms around the Scot, and it went both ways. And you hear all these stories about how Scottish soccer fans are like, I want to come back next year when there's no World Cup. And I think Bostonians and Sox fans and personnel did a great job with them too. It was a really unique night.
The Tartan Army supporting their FIFA team.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you actually broadcast some games back a ways, the soccer. What's your take on what's happening there?
Yeah, I broadcast the FIFA World Cup in 2006 in Germany. I did the whole event all through to the championship, the final, which Italy won on penalty kicks, and I did 21 matches, something like that. I think what we're doing as a country is incredible. Whether you're a soccer fan or not, there were concerns in other parts of the world, Europe and South America, that America would not be able to do this kind of World Cup, and we have knocked the cover off it. The stadiums have been amazing. I saw a World Cup match in Seattle when USA beat Australia. I went to that match. We were out there playing the Mariners, the Red Sox were, and it was phenomenal. It's just a sea of red, white, and blue. And it helps that we have a really good team in the World Cup. I don't know if you guys are getting involved in it, but a lot of people are. The television ratings are sky high. If you didn't grow up with soccer as part of your culture, it's hard to jump in at a certain age. It really is. I was able to do it in my 30s, but I think it's better off if you're a kid, a youngster playing the sport, and then you kind of get addicted to it as you go. But I think a lot of Americans have gotten addicted to this World Cup, which is great to see.
And it's another sport. I started doing the public address announcing at the high school level for it about 3 or 4 years ago, and I've become a fan of it, is lacrosse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
talk about a game that moves. I mean,
Yeah. And when they hit, they hit.
oh, brother, that solid ball makes a baseball look like a feather, basically, to hit you. Oh, and they're not wearing
It's high
pads.
octane. You talk about a sport that's, as you know better than I do, it's absolutely exploded in this country. So, boys and girls lacrosse.
Amen. And I covered both of them this year, and Jay will say that we had some good results in lacrosse this year here in the Seacoast, right, friends?
Yeah, a lot of state championships on both the boys and girls side. It was very successful lacrosse season for sure.
Well, I remember calling Jay once. I may have left a message, but one of my daughters was playing soccer at Portsmouth High against the best player in the state, and just left the message that, of course, he already knew about it, everything, and they were planning to cover her. She turned out to be just an extraordinary talent and won a national championship and all of that. But you guys do just such a great job covering youth sports. It's been phenomenal to see. My own kids went through it and really benefited from it. So I appreciate it so much.
Well,
Thank you. Much appreciated there. It's been a blink of an eye since I arrived here in March of '98, and 28 years later, I'm still doing the same thing I'm doing. So either they're dumb or I am. But it's been a great ride.
You know what I think that is, Jay? It's finding what you're supposed to be doing. And I got into broadcasting at a very young age and kind of realized, I don't know if I can do anything else, but I can do this. I think okay, and I'm going to keep doing it. And then you're probably the same boat I am. You get better and better and better at what you do. The longer you do it, it's that 10,000 hours or whatever that theory is, but for guys like you and I, it's more like 50,000 hours at this point. So I was adding up my games recently. I've done over 6,000 games.
Wow.
All sports, radio, and television. 6,000. I'm like, I'm tired of hearing myself. It's time for me to get off the air, man.
Oh, no. I'll tell you, the other night, I did something that I haven't done in years. I synced the radio with the TV.
You shut Dave off?
No, I synced it up. Dave was doing the radio with Doug Glanville, and they did a great job. I mean, I really enjoy listening to a radio broadcast of a game. And
well, I love doing. You guys are from a radio sort of atmosphere and history, and I am too. That's where I came up, WKNE in Keene, New Hampshire, at 17 years old, starting doing rap. I've always had the greatest affection for radio. It's so intimate. And when I am not on a national television game, I don't do national TV anymore. It's all regional. But when I get the chance to do radio on ESPN radio, I jump at the chance. And I'll be doing some playoffs for ESPN on radio. It's just so much fun. And that
Smooth.
audience, yeah.
Smooth. I mean, your transition for either one, TV or radio, smooth. And that's what I appreciate is you're being one of the premier broadcasters in America. I always ask somebody like yourself, to the young guy or gal out there that wants to get into the broadcasting business, give them a little piece of advice.
I always say the same thing, Sherman. I'll bet you guys, when you're asked about your fields, you have sort of a standard line to help young people. My first piece of advice is always get on the air. Get on the air somewhere. Get in front of a microphone. Because we grow up, certain people were like, well, I want to do that. I want to be on radio. I want to be on TV. Well, let's see if you have any ability in front of a microphone first. Start there, because if that doesn't happen, there's a million other jobs that you can get in sports broadcasting and be great at. But if you want to do this, find a way to be on your student radio station, in front of a microphone, at least hear the sound of your own voice so that you can determine, hey, maybe there's something there. I had some people very early in my career go, you got something. I had not a sports director, but a program director in one of my first jobs who said, you sound sportsy. You think you might want to go into sports? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. He said, you sound sportsy. So that I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Stuck in my head forever that's confirmation that maybe I was on the right track.
Well, there are announcers that you back in the day loved to listen to, and then even nowadays, announcers you like to listen to.
Funny you mention it, because I was just before I started on with you guys today, I was watching a replay of a game that Brett Favre played quarterback in with the Green Bay Packers, and it was Dick Enberg
Oh,
calling
yeah.
the game. And I thought to myself, who is ever better at that than Dick Enberg? And Dick Enberg remains in my head. In my mind, it's not true because I'll never be that. But in my mind, I was like, I sound a little like Dick Enberg when I'm doing a big moment. But it's funny how you try and pull bits and pieces. It was certainly Vin Scully on baseball. Bob Costas, who I'm fortunate enough to call a friend. Costas is another guy that I always thought, yeah, sort of the same kind of background and, delivery and that sort of thing. Not the same thing, but a little bits and pieces. Al Michaels, another one that occasionally I got compared to in terms of tone and in terms of voice quality when I was a young guy. All of those guys. But Ken Coleman with the Red Sox,
Right.
a Quincy guy like me out of Quincy, Mass. originally, and did the Red Sox. A lot of Ken Coleman in my head as well. John Miller, too, who's, for my money, maybe the greatest radio announcer who's ever done baseball. And to this day, he's untouchable. But, you think of the guys, the announcers in your head that you want to try and emulate. Those are a few of them for me.
Well, I know I've said this to you in the past. We talked about him last time we were together, like a guy like Bob Euchre, who did radio and just painted a picture like a Vin Scully
Yeah.
and kept people entertained when the game is out of control and you hear radios literally clicking off. He'd keep people there, bringing
Yeah.
up something that would just attract you to keep listening.
He was just the best guy. It was really sad when he passed, and he lived a great life. He was like 90 years old, and he had done all movies, television. Somebody said he did more Johnny Carson appearances than anyone
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the
saw
history
that.
of the Tonight Show. And
Yeah.
I remember watching those as a teenager and falling over laughing. And my dad was doing the same thing because Bob was so. But then you get to meet these guys, and he comes up to you and he knows your name. He used to call me Davey. He'd go, "Hey, Davey, how you doing, Davey?" And I'm like, "Davey, I'm like 50, Bob." It was perfectly fine because it was Bob Euchre, and it was he was just in a league of his own, Bob. And he had such a great life. He really did. Always had a smile on his face.
and had great stories. That's what's important. Having
Incredible.
quality, not just
Yes.
quantity. I mean, I hear some broadcasters, especially in the college level, it's almost like they're getting paid by the word.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's bump the brakes, especially on TV. You got a picture, let the picture tell the story, you know. And
Hideo
you just
Nomo, of course, was a star in Japan and didn't know anything about Bob Uecker's broadcasting history, but knew he was Harry Doyle in the movie Major League. So he comes to the U.S., he becomes a star pitcher. He sees Bob Uecker on the field near the batting cage. He runs up to him screaming, Harry Doyle, Harry Doyle. It's like the only two words in English he knew were Harry Doyle, but he
oh,
couldn't
that's a
get
hoot.
over it. Harry Doyle was right there on the field. Had no idea who Bob Uecker was, but he knew who Harry Doyle was. So
And you guys have to do live commercials reads during the game. He used to have to do one for the Potawatomi Casino.
right,
and,
right.
and I can't think of the name of the brand, but there's a sausage out there. And that was his big pitch.
Yes, yes. Oh, he used to ride into the ballpark in Milwaukee in his 80s on a Harley Davidson. And you'd be turning around, you'd hear this roar coming. You'd be standing outside the clubhouse and this roar coming down the tunnel. And it's Bob Uecker wearing a helmet, thank God. But Ueck was like, he'd get off and he'd go, "Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, can somebody park that for me? I got to get inside." It was like 82 at the time, and one
I
in a
love it.
million. One in a million.
I love it. We've got a couple of kids locally that have done some nice things. One from AAA into the majors. He's playing for Detroit right now, filling at center field and in right field. A boy by the name of Ben Malageri, and then Cody Morissette is with the Twins organization now. If we had an update on those, Jay, anything on those two guys?
No, I know that Ben in his first pitch in the major leagues, he took a fastball from Carlos Rodon and deposited into right field. So his first pitch he sees, he gets ahead and he had an RBI the following night. And I think he was brought up because he could hit left-handed pitching, and he didn't play the next series, but him being in the major leagues with Detroit and his classmate at Exeter High School, Cody Morissette, he's knocking at the door right now at AAA St. Paul. And we've had some other Seacoast players around the years. We have Sam Fold, who was with the Cubs and the Rays and the Phillies now, is in part of their front office. And there's a lot of great baseball players out of the Seacoast. And I was so glad that Ben finally got to the major leagues, and hopefully Cody's there before the season's over as well.
And
It's a great thing when New Hampshire kids, New England kids can get to the big leagues or they're close like that, because it's so hard to do here, and they overcome so much more than the California and the Texas kids do. I don't care what anybody says.
well, we had Mickey Gasper from Merrimack. He was on the team for a while, and hopefully he'll get back with the Sox. But I was going to say that was a big deal with his parents in the stands, and getting the first hit and all that.
And Jay mentioned Sam Fold. I mean, that's a hot commodity, that guy. And as far as big league manager or whatever path he wants to take, but I mean, don't be surprised if Red Sox make a managerial change and move on from Chad Tracy at the end of this season. They start looking around. If that's the way they elect to go, certainly have a very serious conversation. I don't know if they'll think about letting go of him, but I mean, it's fascinating to me that you've got some really good baseball minds out of New England. It's amazing.
What about the minor leagues? Have we got a couple of players that may be moving up soon, or?
I think Cody and Ben are at the forefront. I don't think there's anyone in the lower levels. I know Quinn McDaniel from South Berwick went to Marshall High School. He was drafted by the Giants in 22. He was released at the beginning of spring training, and I think he's hooked on with the Minnesota Twins organization. And then you had another Oyster River kid, Brennan Oxford. He was released by the Twins organization at the beginning of the year. I think he's playing indie ball somewhere, and it's tough. It's tough to get there, and it's even tougher to stay there. So I don't know if there's a new flux of players coming up, but hopefully Ben and Cody can be our Seacoast representatives in the major leagues here for the next few years.
What about the Sox, and the Woo Sox? Anybody you can see coming up soon, or?
Everybody seems to be here at this point. The Arias kid who was tearing the cover off the ball at Double-A Portland is one to watch. Franklin Arias is shortstop. I don't think they want to bring him up and play a different position. And he's just 20. I think they want to eventually bump him to the Woo Sox and see how he does, and at least give him a run of 100 at bats, a couple hundred bats before they bring him up. I wouldn't be shocked if Arias is with us by the end of the season, because shortstop's been a bit of a revolving door, with the injury to Trevor Story, the injury to Marcelo Meyer. So it might get to a point, Sherm, where it's why not? Let's bring him up, give him a taste of the big leagues. Not going to cost him his rookie season or anything like that. But he's got serious pop. He has shown that at Double-A. They want to see a little more seasoning out of him, though.
Would they be hesitant of bringing him up this year due to Christian Campbell not performing, maybe rushing him a little bit too soon? Would they be more apt to not rush Arias as quickly as maybe other years because of what Campbell, his situation?
Yeah. I don't think there's any question about it, Jay. It's a cautionary thing right now. They're looking at that and going, we paid him all that money. We jumped too soon. It wasn't necessary. He had one good month, and then he's been back in the minors as a very well-paid minor leaguer ever since then. And they don't want to make that mistake again, because you have, as you know, you have the problem of you can set a guy back by bringing him up. And even if he has a little taste of success, they adjust, they dominate him. You kill a guy's confidence. In Campbell's case, it wasn't sure what position he would play. Yeah. And it still isn't clear if he can play a major league position. It's a big problem for him. Not the case with Arias. He's going to be a shortstop. Yeah. But I think that the premise is don't rush him and don't risk a confidence crisis with this kid.
All Star game. Now, they usually have it right around my birthday on July 13th. This year it's the 14th, so I'll have to speak to the commissioner. But what do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I always look forward to it. And I think Home Run Derby's been, for me, a great addition. It sort of makes it a 2-3 day event instead of just one day. It's in Philadelphia this year. A couple of days ago, I might have said the Red Sox were going to send maybe 3 guys. Now I'm not so sure. I mean, a last place team has a hard argument to make to send more than 1 or 2 guys. If it's me, Sonny Gray's the All Star. Wilson Contreras has had a really big year. He's hit 18 home runs, but it's been marred by the inability to stay in the lineup, getting ejected, and that sort of thing. There's no question about that. And he's going to be suspended here. And probably the best case is you're going to have 2 guys. Maybe it'll be him and Sonny Gray. But, I'm a big believer in you earn it at the end of the day. If you have a great baseball team, send your whole lineup for all I care, But the Red Sox are not that team this year.
When will that be back at Fenway Park? It was there in 1999. I was there. When have you heard anything about when? I know they've put in bids and want to host that game again. Do you know when it could be back at Fenway Park?
I don't. I do know if there's an organization that is campaigning hard behind the scenes, the Boston Red Sox are. And that park has undergone a lot of changes since 1999. And people with the organization, definitely want to show it off. It's such a great TV presentation, and when you get those overhead drone shots like NBC does and those crystal clear cameras that Apple uses, put all that together, it's such a great look. Fenway will have another one. I would have to say, I probably bet in the next 5 years, Fenway will have another All-Star game. It deserves one.
The Home Run Derby with people being on the Monster. Yeah. That wasn't the case in '99 because Monster seats came in '03. But I would love to watch. I would love to be on the Monster for the Home Run Derby. That would be great.
Wouldn't you? And, especially if there's maybe a Sox guy in it. right now we wouldn't have anybody who would qualify to go to home run derby with the Red Sox as they currently. But in a few years, I think it's pretty darn clear the Red Sox mean to have home run hitters. I think that lesson has been learned here, and winning a home run derby, a Red Sox player like David Ortiz, it would be a great thing.
And I'm a baseball fan, as we've kind of put that across, and I don't give up on a team, and I'm not going to give up on the Sox. I know a lot of people probably have written them off. I know there's a lot of, as we've said, a lot of parts that need to be tweaked or replaced or whatever. But I think the second half of the season, once we get a lot of these players off the IL, it could be an interesting finish anyway.
Well, as you both know, it's a sprint in the second half because
Right.
actually far more games are played before the All Star break than after. So, getting a couple of guys healthy again. Look, when the Red Sox won 5 in a row, it changed the region for at least a week, right? We all started going, wait a minute. Now we're pretty darn close in this wild card thing. Are we starting to hit now? We starting to score enough? Look at this run of 12 consecutive quality starts. It's a wonderful thing that happens in our region. We build our summers around the Red Sox, and people were getting excited again about, hey, maybe, just maybe, this could be one of those great stories of a season. There's still time left to do it. There is. They have to get back to scoring runs as they did against the Yankees, and at least for one night against Washington. This particular trip we're on, starting right now, you're facing the Angels, who just fired their general manager. You're facing the Chicago White Sox, who are in first place, but have played actually the softest schedule in baseball. I'm not saying they haven't earned first place. They're a really fun team. But then you go to New York to play the Mets, who just fired their manager, and for good reason. Not necessarily him, but they're in last place. So at the end of the day, you get a chance to have a good trip here and kind of put these last two losses on the back burner. If that happens, and you go into the break as you did last year with a bit of a head of steam, then it's a different look coming out of the All Star break, into that second half and that sprint that we're talking about. So I'm with both of you. I don't give up hope. I never do. I've broadcast clubs that were in last place one year and went to the World Series the next year. So the game can change that quickly, particularly if Garrett comes back, if Anthony can come back and help at all, and if one or two other bats start to sizzle in the second half. That's what I hope for every single night at the microphone.
The best case scenario, you talk about Crochet coming back. If things go magically, and best case scenario, when is the earliest do you think he would be back at Fenway? From when he needs to ramp up and get some rehab starts, and when's the earliest you could see him?
I'd say mid-August.
Mm-hmm.
If he pushes it a little bit, because he's not even on a mound right now.
Yeah.
And he's got to get
through full spring training. That's a full spring training away.
Sure.
6 weeks.
That's exactly what it is. That's why that. And actually, I think a lot of the Red Sox personnel might say bet on end of August. No. But I think if the team is winning, if it's starting to win games and win series, he's going to feel even more urgency to come back. He's because I have no doubt about it. That guy's a bulldog and he wants to pitch, and it's killing him not to. So have no doubts about that. That's his mentality. So
he's a pig, not a bulldog. He's a pig.
He's a pig, and he likes that nickname, and his wife likes that nickname, and that's the truth. So I just think he's one of the 3 or 4 best pitchers in the game, and it's been a huge loss.
Yeah.
But he does help in the dugout with Early and all the young kids. Bennett, all these kids are there, and you just gather around him to get some knowledge.
Yeah, I mean he's the ace. I mean there are very few teams that have a true ace. They may have a number one. Everybody's got a number one. That's different from having an ace.
Right.
A guy like that who is going to win the game. Like remember how when Chris Sale was here. Every 5 days, you just knew you were going to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you did before that, you were that night you were the best team in baseball. When Pedro Martinez was on the mound, every time Pedro pitched, the Red Sox were the best team in baseball. So that's what an ace is to me, and he's that.
I was thinking about that All-Star game. If we get it back at Fenway Park, let's put it back on my birthday like it was the last time on the 13th of July. And Jay, you're going to have to work some magic.
I'll get you up on the monster for the home run derby on that Monday night.
Wouldn't that be
I'll try.
something? I
You heard it,
guarantee you
Dave.
guys are going to make it on national television.
I do want to congratulate you on the Emmy Award that you received, the Nesson crew, I guess. Now, there was a project you worked with them on the 1975 team.
We did a broadcast with the same graphics, the same camera style. It looked exactly like a game from 1975. And our producer went out and went to some shop that where you can buy old clothes, was a consignment store, and bought us blazers from the 1970s.
Wow.
So the yellow blazers, they look like the ABC Howard Cosell blazers. And me and Lou Merlone and Jemai Webster all wore these. And the whole game looked like and felt like a game from 1975. And the reason we did it was because the Cincinnati Reds were in town. And 75 was the year the Red Sox and the Reds played World Series. And that won an Emmy for that. And we were very proud of that because it was a really interesting show.
And you also share the National Sports Media Association of Massachusetts Co-Sportscaster of the Year Award with Tom Caron this year.
Yeah, TC. I'm very happy for Tom Caron, who's just not on the air enough. He's on every night. I'm really happy for TC, and that was fun that we got a chance to. We talk about we're like, it's fun to share stuff with people you like and people you admire, and I have so much admiration for Tom and everything he's done over the years. So, but thank you for mentioning both those. I appreciate it, sure.
And I did mention to him as he walked by, going to those monster seats that night, that your partner in the booth, Lou Merlone, you guys are a nice tandem together. You really are.
Thanks. Don't you think he's because both of you watched Jerry Remy for many, many, many years. I think he's
the next Remy.
Jerry Remy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
In so many ways, played for the club. He sounds like he's from our neck of the woods, and a great baseball acumen, and like Rem, locked in to every single night. The baseball, the Red Sox, bleeding Red Sox, but also telling you the truth. And I think that's one thing I'm really happy about is, this has been a tough year. And I think we're going to give you an honest accounting of what's going on. There's no sense in sugarcoating it. You guys have followed the Red Sox for decades. You know what's going on. You're watching baseball. You know what's going on. We're not going to sit up there and go, hey, it's a lot better than you think it is, when it's not. But I put it that way because when the Red Sox are good again, and that's going to be very soon, I think, we want people to believe us when we say that, and we have that credibility. And Lou brings that in spades, I think.
And in sports radio, which he did for years, I think he got a lot of his, the verbosity out. Let's put it that way. Now he's got his groove on. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He works well with somebody like you. He doesn't feel like he has to just yell and rant and rave like he used to on the EI radio. So now
it's a nice yin and yang, and I think we've developed a real nice chemistry, and it's like two guys kind of sitting on a bar stool, talking about the game, and a lot of that, well informed and well intentioned, and we know we're on every night. And Red Sox fans watch every night. The great thing about our market, about our region, is even when we're in last place, people are watching the games. People love the Red Sox. And as Sherm said, there's always hope there that a better day is right on the horizon, And we can never lose sight of that, too. With this particular road trip, let's take a look at where we are when we leave New York City at the end of this trip. That's going to be the telltale sign, and telltale as far as what the Red Sox do, buy or sell come the trade deadline.
What would be a successful road trip in your eyes?
Yeah, 9-0. Yeah.
There you go. I like that.
Why not? Let's go. But let's say, let's say 6-3.
Okay.
To me, 6-3, and you can say, okay, lost the last two against Washington, but that was a 5-2 homestand.
Yeah.
Put that with this, and all of a sudden things are looking a lot better. Guys are getting healthier. If it goes the other way, there are major decisions that are going to be made at that All Star break.
I was just thinking about Lou's mom, Lou Merlone's mom, met you the other night, and she's told you if he gets out of line, boom, just give him a whack.
Just whack him. Just whack him. I said, did you ever do that when he was a little boy? She said, no, Lou was a good boy. Lou was a But boy, it's a classic Italian mom who's like, no, but you can whack him if something gets out of hand. Keep your eye on him. So
I
she
like
was,
the
she was
I like
delighted.
the broadcast when they showed Lou's mom in the stands, and Lou was saying he was more scared of her than the priest or the father of the church that he was at, or he was more afraid of his mom
Well,
than the
and
priest.
I believe it, man. I'll bet that was with a rod of iron. And his dad was this great, fun-loving guy, and his mom is amazing. But boy, she ruled the roost
Yeah,
in that house. He adores his mother. She walks on water, which is as it should be.
yeah.
Well, please keep
All
up the
moms do.
all
Yeah.
moms. Yeah, exactly. Well, please keep up the good work, you and Lou and the gang from Nesson, and we really appreciate a chance to get to talk ball with you. And let's hope for the second season for something to happen. Hey,
Thanks, guys, and have a wonderful rest of the summer on the Seacoast. I'll see you on the monster seats very soon.
you never know.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks again to Dave O'Brien for some great baseball talk today. So on behalf of Jay Pinsonnault from Seacoast Media Group, and you can catch his byline on seacoastonline.com. This is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast.